Here we go, folks. This is Acid Roots. We're going to talk about Papa Roach and their second mainstream album, which was Love Hate Tragedy. Now, keep in mind, as recent as, probably 10 days ago, I didn't really know who these guys were. So my history with them is not going to be, carved out and experienced. So I have heard a song from them time to time. They were popular about 14, 13, 15 years ago, and they rode the crest of the rap rock movement, but afterwards they saw future success as they continued to evolve their music. Now this is kind of an album that's in between. I was hoping when I picked the CD up that I would get um a continuation of the rap rock just because I'm really enjoying that right now. But it kind of has it. It feels like a metal record, but it also feels like a hard rock record, or almost sometimes post grunge, sometimes progressive rock. I don't know all of rock's categories, but I do know that this is kind of an in between one because I looked up their 2004 album and that dropped the rap metal entirely. So one of the songs I've heard by them, or I briefly listened to, was Last Resort, and I do remember actually hearing that song. They had a couple of hits off this album. I'm not really sure what they are, but I do know that the background of this is pretty good. This is a metal album, almost pretty good. This is going to get a high score, and it's something you probably should check out if you forgot about or that sort of thing. Just because there's so much that there's actually quite a few songs. It does have traces of not necessarily. It's not. Well, let's just talk about the record. So, can you smoke to this? I would say yes, you can. I feel like Singular, Indestructible Droid, Code of Energy, Decompression Period, Time and Time Again. Those are some great ones. And those are just a few that I was kind of reminded of. There's 12 songs. Well, there's 13 songs on this album, but one of them is, 2 minutes, just about on the dot. And then the first song you hear is also pretty short as well. But there actually is 13 songs. So the production, I'm gonna say I really like the guitar on this album. I really prefer it. I'm gonna learn their names as time goes on. And yeah, I was actually pretty impressed with it. I feel like, Decompression Period reminded me of something that Creed or Marilyn Manson would do. It just sounds really kind of like um, post, it sounds real post grunge. That's one of the ones that does like that. I feel like Black Clouds is another one that sounds like that. And there's a couple traces, and there's some regular hard rock on here. I felt like Walking Through Barbed Wire and She Loves Me Not are a couple of those that sound that way. And I'd also say Love Hate Tragedy kind of sounds that way. But the best metal songs would have to be like Code of Energy and Time and Time Again and Life is a Bullet. Those are just some of the ones that I remember. But the Unheard Songs, so I like 7 out of 13, and then there were 3 almost songs, so that would make 10. I guess I'll go ahead and list them. So I like Life is a Bullet, Time and Time Again, Decompression Period, Born with Nothing, Die with Everything. It's one song. Singular, Indestructible Droid, Code of Energy, and Never Said It. Now I'm going to talk about these I'll do the almost songs. Walking Through Barbed Wire, She Loves Me Not, and Love Hate Tragedy were the almost songs. So first couple songs, they sound alive, and I really like Time and Time Again and Code of Energy. Those are the ones that I really preferred. I like Decompression Period a lot. I mean, even though it sounded a little bit more mellow, it still is pretty good. And I also like Singular Indestructible Droid. So I'm pretty sure I like Life as a Bullet as well. So the Almost songs, the only reason why is just because it felt more like hard rock that you would hear on a classic rock station at this point. You know, the guitar was simply not that impressive. The thing I like about metal most is the skill that it takes to make those symphonies with the guitar. You know, no matter what it is, it usually has something that gets you excited. Like if you look at Limp Bizkit or Linkin Park, those type guys, I mean, even though they were doing the rap thing, the guitar is what made them wild. And I looked it up, and you know, these people, Korn, all these guys, they're quite proficient with getting you excited. And I just felt like, you know, some of these more regular rock sounding songs, they just don't do it as well. They're not horrible, but you know, you'll probably notice that it just feels more like makeshift rock more than anything. And that's kind of something I feel like this wanted to be more of a, like, you know, Korn knew that they probably wouldn't chart, and I think some of these other guys did as well, but this had in mind more of, well, let's try to reach the radio somewhat. But I think the direction is just, it's hard for a metal album to really figure out what songs are going to work. It's kind of, you're shooting in the dark when you do it. And so, but they actually did get a couple charting songs, so I'm proud of that. You know, I like the fact that they did it, and you know, there's a good enough energy on here, but I think you're just gonna notice that it's just maybe a shade too light on the amount of gnarled up songs. So the score, I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. I like 7 out of 13, and then the Almost songs would up the score. But you know, if it was a 10 out of 13, I'd probably give it a 10. But you know, 7 out of 13, and then the Almost song is gonna get an 8.5, and that's actually, you know, good. It should get like a 7 or something, but because I liked it so much. So the future, I mean, I think Papa Roach dropped an album this year. I'm getting used to some of the newer sounds of rock. I don't know what genre I'm going to get to next. I really want to get some of these rap metal albums done. And so the social score, I'm going to give it a 6.5, just because it did have a couple songs, but really the main problem with it is, you know, I think a lot of people are coming for the energy. You know, it's hard trying to guess what sound people want from a rock album. Some people want the calmer stuff, some people want to go crazy, and it just feels like they could have done a better job amping things up, and that's what I thought. So, but you know, it's not to say there's not good songs on here. So can it be topped? It likely could, but this is still pretty excellent. Subscribe for more fun. I give it an 8.5 and a 6.5 social.